You know what? I've decided I just want to sit down and record in general. I've been playing VGC for about 3 months, a little over 3 months. Um, since since the new or the second coming of Regulation G. Yes, I'm just playing footage from regionals from beforehand because it's what I could go find. And I needed something in the background as B-roll. But I just want to talk, just in general. Um, I've done a lot in 3 months compared to at least what I thought I would do. And a lot of it just started from. I guess I should start with the point. The thing that I wanted to do this video for is, in general, just thanking people. Like, I know I basically just really started trying to improve, but already I've been just being around other players who have a lot more experience in being able to ask questions, and especially going and starting to get coaching with Timbit. I'm realizing that there's a lot of things in my mind with this game, and me as a little kid never imagined that I was gonna say, you know what, fuck it, I want to get good at Pokemon or whatever, the way that I have. And especially whenever it gets to where it is now, where I'm actively sitting here every couple weeks, every weekend that there's one going, and I'm staying up, I'm watching regionals, I'm watching EUIC at 4 in the morning. I am I'm a very sentimental person, and every single one of these things that I'm sitting here doing is going to all build up to eventually being what I think about when I am eventually, if I ever get to this point, when I'm eventually standing on the stage at Worlds. Whenever I'm eventually winning my first sets at a regional, when I'm winning my first sets at a local, when I'm winning my first games going into VGC Academy's server and playing in their open book tours and all this stuff. And I'm just in general really, really excited. There's so much to learn, and I'm one of those people who really like the things that there's a philosopher, I don't know, well, physician, really, not physician, he is a astrophysicist, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I really like the things that he says, where he pushes people to be lifelong learners, and if there's something that someone discovers, he doesn't push them off like, oh no, don't do that, it's dangerous. He will let them safely figure things out. And so I enjoy learning. I always have. I have been studying a language. I have been planning to leave the United States. All that stuff. And even back when I played Guilty Gear, I ended up learning. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about other people and how to interact with other people, especially in those online spaces, but also it made me comfortable walking up to people and talking about shared interests that I knew about. And knowing that I guess I'm going to get to experience that with really the series that introduced me to video games, frankly. Like, yeah, I kind of played Minecraft first, but Pokemon has been in my life since I was a very young child. And like that started that weird transitional era between Black and White and X and Y's anime. Which overall led straight into like my brother was also hyperfixated on Pokemon when we were kids, which just being in that environment fostered a hyperfixation that has lasted my entire life. Now, there were times I wanted to get stop caring about Pokemon, but it never happened, frankly and very clearly. And now that, especially watching the regional from this weekend, while I've not talked to him myself, seeing how the the main VGC server I'm in, and I'm somewhat, I'd say somewhat active in. I'm not very active in it. I need to be. But seeing how they react to members from their server being on that stage and playing really well, and it ultimately, earlier I was sitting there, like, I even talked to Timbit about this. I was sitting there watching, and it was a very fun set to watch. I'm going to say that. But more importantly, watching everyone react in real time to this set reminded me why I like to compete in games in the first place. And it gives me a way to get involved with a community that shares interests that ultimately make me more comfortable being who I am. And there's no script for this. I'm going to go in circles. It's going to be a mess for the next 30 minutes. But, like, I end up sitting here, and again, I'll wake up at 4 in the morning. There's a regional tomorrow at 10. It is currently almost midnight. I'm going to be up for it. I'm going to be watching that regional. I'm going to be watching top 16 and top 8, top 4, and eventually Grands. And I don't know. I'm overall very happy I even have the opportunities to engage with my interests the way that I do. But especially whenever it's stuff like this where I'm sitting here and getting involved with a community that is already, like, this happened with Strive 2. To give a brief history of me with competitive games, I started with Smash. And it was an experience. I know I've got some friends that are subscribed to this channel that are probably going to point that out. Smash was an experience because I started on a 2DS that I broke as a very young child. I kind of slapped it over my right knee, and because there's only one screen in a 2DS, it just didn't work. I broke the screen, and then that December, that was in 2020, I bought a new 2DS XL. Not 2020, that was 2019. A couple months later, I had enough money from Christmas, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go get a new Nintendo 2DS XL. And I spent all of my Christmas money on it. All of it went to that, and it was, I think, the single best purchase I have ever made, because that's how I ended up meeting some of the most important people in my life. Mostly because of an old Discord server that I met someone by at the time, the tag was Anxiety. Now it's changed. His tag is different. But we met playing in a Smash 3DS tournament in that server. And we have been friends ever since. We've sat there, we've played almost every single game that we've ever wanted to play. We've been playing through Corpse Party recently because I got him to start it. Alright, Wolfie can't perish. But yeah, we've been sitting there, we've been chilling, we've been doing so much stuff over the last 5 years. It's how I got introduced to Guilty Gear, actually. And knowing how Guilty Gear went for me, where it was like, I ended up, over the span of 2.5 years of playing Guilty Gear, made such important, like, I have made so many important friends during my Guilty Gear years. And overall, I'm really happy that I got into Guilty Gear. But, you know, as Season 4 came out, I wasn't very satisfied. And ultimately, and like the same thing happened with Smash. Like, after 2 years of Sora, I got tired of this balance patch. I got tired of how bad the online in the game was, because I couldn't travel. Like, I was in middle school, I couldn't drive. I still can't, but that's besides the point. I'm especially working on it now that I know there's Pokemon locals both an hour north and an hour like southeast of me, or southwest. But I'm sitting here like, I really want to do this. And as I moved over to Pokemon, I'm gonna say specific names. I don't care. I'm gonna say specific names. So we have my friend Fichi. No, I'm not gonna use real names here. So yeah, I've got my friend Fichi, who he's been into Pokemon for a very long time as well, and he wanted all of us to learn or start learning like actual Pokemon a while ago, and he's been like thrilled, genuinely thrilled to see me start learning and getting better. And every single time that we play, he's excited to help me learn, to help me have advice and have a direction that I'm going. And then of course, person who's formerly anxiety, now it's Kiyomi. He's right there. He has my entire. He completely supports me. I completely support him. He has watched me go through every competitive game. He's seen the highs and lows of every competitive game I have ever played. And ultimately, had I not said, you know what, I love Super Smash Brothers. How do I do Link's sword spinning move is what I typed into Google. And had I not been introduced to the Smash competitive scene, I'm having to realize I maybe would not be here had I not ever played Smash 3DS. And especially in that tournament where I found the person who I sit here and shitpost with and have watched mature, and he has watched me mature, and we've just spent so much time with each other that ultimately knowing him alone wants to see me do well, whether it be in a competitive game or otherwise. Like every time I would get sentimental like this, even during Strive, he would be the first person to be right there congratulating me for my work when I'm sitting there trying to thank him. I'm like, you bastard, let me thank you. Then, you know, again, I'm not saying actual names. There's like God Eater, who, oh, you're gonna know so many of these people if you watch the Ace Attorney video. He was the person who voiced Phoenix. God, it's weird. It's so weird to think that I'm gonna be next to this dude for the first time either this summer or the year after for college, like the summer after for college. And knowing that I'm going to be dragging him probably around the United States until I graduate. And then eventually I'm going to drag him to Japan when we graduate. And just overall dragging him everywhere. It's an interesting feeling. But again, with all of this, the first thing that I do, because I do want this to also end up being like, oh, how do I start learning? Once you know what you want to go and do, like if you want to learn a new competitive game, the first thing you need to do is find a community. So what I usually do is I will go and outright I will go hunt for Discord servers. And I don't even remember what website it was on, but I found the VGC Academy server where I met a good group of people. Between Nessie, I'm gonna have to like dedicate an entire part to what he's done for Pokemon. But there's also like Aetrix, who's been helping me acquire team members. There's a ton of people in that server. AJ also namedly has helped. And especially my coach Timbit, who, even though we've only done one session, we've just been sitting there. We've been talking a lot back and forth about how I'm doing things. Having just in general, again, having this group of people behind you that will support you and help you learn and show you the ropes overall. If you want to get good at something, that's your first step. Find a community. Find that group of people that's going to help you learn. Find the group of people that is willing to teach you, and don't waste their time. On my third day playing Guilty Gear Strive, I was sitting in actually the community server. I hate sitting in that server now. But I was sitting in there, and this was really funny. That was the day that I learned what the word gap meant in a video game context, because this dude Koi pops in and is like, hi, and then we start playing, and it's my third day of the game, and someone says in the VC chat, wow, this Koi player is kind of gapping Bloopy. That was my tag at the time. I've been thinking about changing it, but he's there like, yeah, it's their third day, what do you expect? And then I started asking, like, I ended up learning a lot just playing against them, and that led to probably some of the best 2 years of my life, I'm gonna be honest. I learned more about who I was. I ended up learning who I am, And I now have that entire small group of people in Angelic Koi also behind me and all actively encouraging me to get better. And I still go play Guilty Gear with them. Like, those are some of the only people I go play Guilty Gear with. Aside from that, I do want to have like I said, this is gonna be a mess. I want to have time to go through some more Guilty Gear people. So like Totsubugger, while it's kind of awkward to talk to her now after we broke up, I still think really highly of her. I'll be honest. She helped me a lot, especially when we were together, but even afterwards, because we did talk for a little bit, and it wasn't very often. But every time that we would, it was never a bad experience. And aside from her, of course, I want to talk about Fat for a moment. Fat is a Bridget player. She overall she was probably my biggest inspiration when I played Guilty Gear when it came to like Bridget players. Like, yeah, there's Super Noon, Cactus as well, but Fat is the one who stood out because I saw it's actually a really goofy combo off of Charge Dust that she did, and I'm like, I'm gonna steal that. And then I started talking to her more and more, and eventually it led to me being at my first in-person event for any game. I remember I was talking to her the entire time on the way there, and we were talking about running games, and then we never got the chance to because she did really well. She got top 8. And something that she did was I meant to ask her about this. I think she snuck behind me during some of my sets and watched me play. And whenever I got knocked out of that tournament, I went back to the room that we were playing casual games in. And I eventually look up and she's staring at me from across this tiny little venue. And she walks over, starts giving me advice, and answers my questions. And overall gave me a ton of important info, which ultimately was part of why, like, I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, I was a good Bridget player anymore. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and toot my own horn for a game I don't play anymore. But given the things that I was told by multiple players when I did play Guilty Gear, I was. I just don't like admitting it, and I argued a couple times with some very good players. Tekamek, for example, I think I remember arguing with about how good of a player I was because I didn't think I was very good. He's like, dude. He's like, girl, lock the fuck in. And it was a lot of fun. And we sat, like, Tekamek also. Tekamek has given me a ton of advice. I actually, so I was talking to Koi a couple days before that bracket, and I'm like, hey, so here's the entrance list. Is there anyone that you want to point out? And Koi's reaction when he sees Tekamek is, uh-oh. I'm like, what do you see? And he points out Tekamek and is like, that is one of the best Bedman players. And at the time, I didn't know very many competitive players. I was not nearly as good as I was by the end of my time in Guilty Gear. And so I get to this regional, the Yeah I Gotcha Die tournament, and I walk into the casual room, and I unknowingly would just walk up to someone. I'm like, hey, can we run games? Because I think there's another person on that setup, and I ask if we can run rotations. The other person just walked away. But then I see Bedman. I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I do want to play against more Bedman. So by the end of the set, because I'm like, yeah, I want to get some warm-up games in. I could not block a single JH. You can ask Tekamek, he probably remembers this shit. But I walk up to him like, hey, let's run games. And then by the end of it, I'm like, what was your tag? I'd never heard it. And he looks at me dead in my eyes and says Tekamek. And I'm like, oh, I was warned about you. And it was very funny. Overall, very funny. It was a great way to be introduced to him. And then we ended up we did talk to the Pokemon TCG for a while when I wanted to get into it. watching EUIC, because I watched all of the final day tournaments for everything except for Pokemon Unite. I'm happy I decided not to get into the card game, because that looks... I don't have anything to say about it. Like, ADP exists, but that's not the thing that I'm talking about. Also, I don't even know if ADP is legal. I know very little about the card game right now. I just know that the final game at EUIC and Grands for Masters, it was a 45-second long game, or turn 1 game, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm happy I don't take part in that. But yeah, so other Guilty Gear people, I mean, there's like Precho, because me and her talked a lot. She actually encouraged me a lot as I was getting better. Well, at least when I wanted to get back into Guilty Gear, because there was a time that I was like, oh, maybe I don't want to do this. In terms of other Guilty Gear people, there's also my friend Lake, who, although he does play Guilty Gear, he doesn't play competitively or anything. He's just chill. 2 other big ones before, because I think after this I am gonna move on to talking more about Pokemon people. There is Skullduggery, who also a big one before those. The entirety of the Bridget Discord. I've some of the people in there will remember. Like, if you talk to Stuff, if you talk to Ray, if you talk to other people, I've gone in there a couple of times when I was sappy and whatnot, and just typed out giant messages in the off-topic chat. I think you could probably ask Maria, she might remember some of these. And I would just go in there and thank people individually, and then end it by thanking the entire Discord server. Because I ended up being a big part of like me learning more about myself and just the world around me and all that shit. So there's all the people in there, again, between Ray, there is Sam in there, there's so many people. God, there's so many people in that server. Aside from that, again, there's Skullduggery, who me and Skullduggery have joked around a lot, and we still talk. There's a couple of these people who play Strive that I talk to. Ashi is another one. We talk a lot about Guilty Gear. But me and Skullduggery, like, I know for some reason a lot of fast players. Like, I know Skullduggery, Night Persona, CPU, I'm friends with Ashi, and all of them are really incredible people who helped me a lot, especially when I started, because I will be honest, I did try to make a guide. I have the entire script, but as I lost passion for Guilty Gear, I started questioning to myself, what's the point? Because part of the intro, I made a ton of promises of like, oh, we'll be breaking down every patch, and we'll be breaking down every character, and I'm like, I could do this, but why should I do it if I don't have passion for this game? Because that's how it ends up feeling really soulless, which is the opposite of how I wanted it to be. Because I wanted it to be guides that you not only could watch because like I genuinely want to learn, but also because you could sit there and find some entertainment in them, which is why I formatted them in a way that another guide series that kind of fit that bill to me back when I played Smash was. But yeah, Skullduggery's a really big one. Ashi's a big one. CPU's a big one. Night Persona's a big one. I remember one of my first major online brackets. Skullduggery sat there and watched me play, and the entire time, while I wasn't being given coaching mid-set, I was being given information about things that I could do better, and also importantly he helped me stay like mentally together during the entire set, and because it was one of my first streamed matches, a big one, because I was talking about AK earlier, and I hate saying it, but one of our team members from the original group passed away this really recently. We were all really we were a mess for a month afterwards. We still are. We all miss him. We all miss Yoruchi. He used to do all of our AK streams. Me and him had some music stuff we were working on when I first started like getting into Vocaloid production, and we just sat there. And I remember talking to him. Fuck, I miss it. I miss him. I really do. But AK itself is such an important thing that regardless of if I don't play Strive anymore, if all of them make it out to a major, and I've promised them this, and fuck it, I'm gonna send this video in that server. All of you, if you make it to this point, first of all, thank you for just listening. But second, more importantly, you all are little bastard childs, and you all are going to eventually meet up at a major with me, and we're all gonna sit there and we're gonna chill. We're gonna play games. I need to change music. King of the Town. Oh, that sound extended though. We're gonna. There's one for 32 minutes. Perfect. What was I saying? Yeah, so yeah, AK people. We're gonna go to a major, whether it be Evo Japan after I move, at some point whenever all of us are 18. We're all gonna go. We're all gonna sit there, we're gonna talk, we're gonna take pictures, we're gonna go eat food. We're all gonna go do stuff together. And I think that will probably, like, I'll go as a spectator. I'm not gonna go and compete. Fighting games are incredible. I love playing them. But I don't think that they're for me competitively anymore, because they end up getting not only stressful after a while to just play for fun. Like, I sit there and play Bridget, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Why am I... Like, I just get stressed playing Bridget, even if I'm sitting there playing friendlies, which is a big part of why I quit the game, because I couldn't get practice without feeling stressed. And I'm like, that's not something I should be interacting with. That's not a game I should play. If I'm getting stressed by playing a game that I'm supposed to be sitting here having fun with and competing in, I'm not gonna do it. So what happened, like, yeah, we're all gonna go do that. Eventually, what's gonna happen is, yeah, whenever we all go, we're gonna go hang out. Before that section, it was... Oh yeah, I wanted to do general... like, Pokemon people. Again, Timbit, who is my coach, I know there's only been one session, but there's still so much that I learned from that one session, and continuing afterwards. I'm overall very happy that I learned as much as I did, and that I'm able to sit here and actively talk about things that I'm doing, things that I want to do, and that I'm learning how to apply the things that I learned from fighting games over to Pokemon. I'm gonna save the big one for the end. Aetrix also, like I said before, he's been helping me get some parts of my team, all that stuff. AJ, we sit there mostly talk about EVs and general, like, team stuff. There's also so the big one, but because I'm gonna eventually scroll through my list of DMs and see if I find other people. Nessie, I don't have anything to say. Like, I don't have anything to say about Nessie, because a big part of what I struggle with is finding a voice when I join a new community or a new fandom or whatever. So, like, I eventually joined, when I joined the VGC Academy server, I'm like, hi, I want to learn competitive Pokemon, and was, like, not super active. And the person who I sat down with and really started talking to and learning from was Nessie, because I saw him in VC alone. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to him. And I sat down and had one of the most productive hours of my life with this game. And I was taught a lot. I was taught a ton, in fact. And that has now spiraled into, we're sitting here actively sometimes, we talk, and I ask, hey, is this worth doing? And I give small updates about what I'm doing between just with Pokemon in general, just as a franchise. Dink my oop. There's so much stuff I do, and I'm really happy about it. Another one is Akame, who I just met on Showdown. We were playing Showdown, and we started playing. And I remember at the time he was running a Kyogre team. Now he plays Arubega, which I got the Arubega follow back, baby. Let's go. But like Akame we've been playing a lot. We've been trying to learn a lot by playing against each other. Yeah. Aside from that, who did I potentially forget? If I forget someone, I'm gonna feel so upset. My friend Zane, who I ran into playing in Celestial, playing Guilty Gear, I just started asking questions, or eventually, it started with them trying to be toxic, because it's like, sitting there talking, and it's like, do you not know how to play neutral? And then I'm like, my bad. And then I beat them in bracket like 2 or 3 weeks later when we were both on mains. There's also, I mean, the entirety of the Dancing Dodo Gama, or Dueling Dodo Gama Dojo, my bad, it used to be dancing. That server has a lot of important people in it, just to my life in general. I do want to bring up, this is not related to Pokemon, loosely related to Strive, and very related to language learning. There is Raiden, who I ran into her as a byproduct of me trying to learn Guilty Gear and stop losing to fucking Potemkin as a new player, because that's where I met Lake. And we sit down and we just watch anime a lot, and like we will go watch it without any English and use it for language practice. And she told me when she, actually I'm not going to include that because she will probably kill me if I do. But yeah, aside from that, oh yeah, there is my friend Wizard. I mean, that's one of the AK people, so that she's included in that entire like big thing that I was addressing to them. Same thing for Slizzuri, same thing for Alethea. God, who else? Oh, Bisquendo from back when I played Smash. There was a lot of things that we sat there and talked about. Because like I was posting about, man, I can't find any Smash brackets, and then he, I think, DM'd me on Twitter saying that he had one on like the 25th of probably the like 13th or 15th of December a couple years ago. And we sit here, we talk, we have been ever since. 7 is another big one. That's someone from the Bridget Discord. They've done a lot in general. Like, we talk a good bit. Well, I say a good bit, it's been a little while. I need to go talk to these people, Jesus Christ. But Billy, amazing Billy from the Bridget Discord, massive one. We still sit there, we still talk about Pokemon, we talk about a ton of stuff. There is there's why do I have him on Discord as Kratos? Well, I know why. Because me and him we were all playing Monster Hunter Wilds, and he made his character look like Kratos for the beta, and it was really, really goddamn funny. Outside of that, I think that's the main ones. if I miss people, that is entirely my bad. I'm really not gonna include family in this. That's for like, and a lot of these people, I'm gonna be honest. If I ever sit there and am doing well in a bracket, like if I'm going to like a regional or whatever, and I end up on stage and win, like I probably never will. I can't say that. That's bad. But if I ever do well at a regional or whatever, a lot of those people are people that I'm gonna mention, but it's especially gonna be family that I mention there. But yeah, so the first thing, if you're going to learn, like let's say, oh, I want to get into competitive Pokemon. I want to go get into competitive Guilty Gear. Those are things I've been doing. Well, one of them I did and actually did pretty well with. Anyway, go find a community, go find people that will support you and that will watch you play and that will help you learn. That's gonna help the most. Outside of that, know how to find resources, whether that be asking people, whether that be going to Twitter. I can't tell you to go to Twitter. For the most part, just ask, like when you find that community, ask them, hey, can I get some resources? Like with Guilty Gear, you'll go and be like, hey, what are some resources I can use? And usually people will default to character discords, matchmaking discords, and Dustloop. With Pokemon, it has been so many resources. Like there's damage calculators and like Munch Stats, which lets you take a ton of info about Pokemon and seeing how they're used in a format. It really helps because if you want to like make a hard read on parts of the meta when you're building a new team, you're able to do that because you're able to see what statistically has been used the most. Lab Mouse is another one because it has complete teams and team breakdowns by either the people who played them or the people who actually made the team. Like Luca Charabelli ended up doing a breakdown of Arubega, which is a team that Arubega made. Which do I know off the top of my head? It is Miraidon, Iron Hands, Whimsicott, Heartflame, Ogerpon, Urshifu. I always forget the last one. And Farigiraf, I want to say. And it's a very good team. You see it everywhere. It won Worlds. So, like, if someone were to think, oh, I want to have a call against this team that is functional against other teams, then that's something they can do. Or they can do what, if you look at the first, like, big online tournament for Regulation I, the Victory Road one, third place in that team had almost a version of Arubega. Like, it wasn't like outright a modified version of Arubega or anything, but it took Arubega and changed a lot of the aspects of it, where you now had a Chi-Yu, Rapid Striker, Shifu, Lunala, Miraidon. There's a ton of changes, and it plays pretty similarly. Like, it also gave me ideas because my original Reg G team, I love this team. I love it so much. It had a Koraidon, it had Single Striker Shifu, I had Fluttermane on there, I had Venusaur on there, and there's a ton of Pokemon I was like fighting myself on. Farigiraf was on that team, which feels weird sometimes. Can I find... That's not it. Let's go open Showdown. Because... You know what, that'll work. So, it's this. Incineroar, right. So I broke this team down before. I am not going to do it again because I did it to the person that matters the most to. But this generally was just like how I got into competitive Pokemon and is how I learned what I was kind of doing. And ultimately I figured out, I learned a lot about how I play and how I want to build teams. A lot of it was just, I want to use a Pokemon I love. So I took Venusaur and realized, oh, wait a minute, right, this has Chlorophyll. And it also gets Sleep Powder, so it's going to do really good damage. So I'm gonna throw something that'll set up Sun. And the restrictor that was best for that, I felt, was Koraidon. This Koraidon uses Wolfie's set because, well, I made this team before EUIC. I didn't realize how much better Life Orb was than Clear Amulet. But yeah, so again, if you're getting into something and you get that community, you get those resources, all you can do is practice and engage with the game. Like I sit here, I play as much as I can. I sit here, I watch tournaments. I go watch older like VODs of regionals, and I really sit there and think to myself, if I'm in this situation, what am I doing? And like these are things, like, yeah, that's something that Timbit actually suggested to me, and that's something that has really helped with my decision making already. And overall, I think that it's very, very important. Why is that such low resolution? What? Am I imagining things? That was weird. But yeah, what else can I even say? I guess the big thing is everyone that I mentioned, and even if I didn't mention you, like, there's probably a ton of other people that have been important to me over the last 5 years, frankly, of competitive games and whatnot. Like Wolf Glick. I've never talked to him. I will say, alright, I've never talked to him, but he's done a lot because I've sat there and watched him play. I've been watching videos that he's made, and that teaches me a ton about the game. Same thing for like Aaron saying, okay, Wolfie, don't start doing that now. Like I've sat there, I have talked to a bunch of these, like I've talked to some good players, and then there's like Cybertron. Why did I just have a stroke? There's like Aaron Zhang. There's like Dawe is one of my favorite players. And a lot of it was just because I looked over, saw such an interesting team, and then looked down and saw a Whimsicott plush, and I'm like, that's fucking awesome. I love it. And that was from the first regional I watched, being San Antonio from this year. Yeah, it was this year. And I don't know. So I guess whenever you have that community behind you, genuinely the only thing that you have to do is the part that you are responsible for. So at that point, you're good. I have no idea what I'm naming this video. Like, this is just gonna be like some random dump of whatever was on my mind, because this is what I wanted it to be. I wanted to sit here and just talk the way that I made a Bridget matchup guide a while ago for a server, because that's frankly all that I could do. That's all I wanted to do. I'm like, oh, what do I want to do with this? I just want to like spew info that I have gathered from 5 years of learning games, and from 5 years of being with some of the most important people I've ever been with, and all that shit. So I guess with that, you know what, this was mostly an accident. I was sitting there recording something to send to Timbit because I was going through my thoughts on a team that I'm working on, and it's bad matchups. And at the end, I'm like, so like A, if I need to do whatever, and B, if I need to make any changes to my team, and goong. And I just ended the video like that. It was funny as shit. And I didn't edit it out. I in fact went and tweeted about it and trying to draw attention to it because I found it funny. But I guess what I'm gonna say to on this is, if you think I'm overreacting, because there's probably gonna be a couple people that do, fuck you. I don't know, I'm sentimental, and I am very happy with how me getting into competitive games has been, and overall seeing where it's going and seeing that I've got these people behind me that want me to do well. Like, I have piles of notebooks, and I'm gonna probably buy more notebooks for this summer, because a lot of what I do, I usually take notes in like Google Docs, I'm gonna temporarily open this. Actually, am I? Yes, I am. It's like if I go open this, there's so many notes. So many. Like, there's a total of 16 pages across this entire thing. And like the important thing, take notes. If you are not on this video, if you are learning a competitive game, go take notes on whatever it is that you find important. Are you struggling with something? Go write it down. Go write down what you're struggling with. Come back to it later. Come back with a clear brain whenever you're not on tilt. I guess I could talk about like mentality in something later. But yeah, eventually I'm gonna start like genuinely trying to post Pokemon content, I guess, as I get better. Eventually, if I do get good enough, first of all, if I ever am at a regional and I'm playing well and I do well, I am going to make a video about it. And I guess it's a promise, but yeah, those people that I brought up, just thank you, I guess, for being here for 5 years. Whether you've been here for a week or a couple months since like January, or 2 years, like the people in AK, or for all 5, like my initial friend group that I was bringing up. I don't know. I am sentimental as shit, and I wanted to get it out in a way that wasn't concerning. Because, you know, you go send a DM to people at midnight about you caring about them. It's like, are you about to kill yourself? Like, no. I just wanted to do this. I've been sitting here playing with a pen while I'm doing this because I'm trying not to like stutter and say random shit like goong at the end of the video again. Goong.